and welcome to Diecast Restos. I'm Jason and this is an MC TOY Porsche 956, which I will be turning into a full replica of an iconic race-winning car. While this casting is indeed wearing a livery inspired by the Hugo Boss-sponsored 956 run by a Porsche customer team in 1983, I'll be recreating another car from that year, the 24 Hours of Le Mans winning number 3 Rothmans Porsche, using these decals from Le Mans Decals. For the wheels, I'll be using two different Creative 164 sets for each axle, aero discs for the front and the rears from the 917 set. The 956 casting was available from MC Toy in several different designs, including this Boss replica, either over black or red paint, a white and red OK liveried car, and a number 19 Bilstein sponsored white car with either blue or red tampos. These all had beige interior pieces with clear transparencies, and the latter decal design continued into the Maisto period of the company's history. This casting was recycled numerous times over the years, and even lasted into the Fresh Metal Maisto series, where models were stripped of their interiors and given blacked out windows. These models had blue bodies with white number 19 tampos, inverted from the previous number 19 cars, but without the Porsche or Bilstein branding. The car that it replicates was designed by Norbert Singer and built to the new Group C specifications for 1982. It would replace the 936, Porsche's successful model that it competed in the outgoing Group 6 category. I've previously customised a Tomica 936 in a 1976 Martini livery, which you can watch here. The 956 featured an aluminium monocoque chassis, the first built by Porsche, which helped the car meet the 800 kg minimum weight. It used the same engine as the 1981 iteration of the 936, a 2.65 litre turbocharged flat six, which was originally developed as an IndyCar engine, producing 635 horsepower. It was the first Porsche to use ground effect aerodynamics, producing over 3 times as much downforce as the 917 that raced a decade earlier. The 956 would make its competitive debut at the 1982 6 Hours of Silverstone race, the second round of the World Sports Car Championship. Jackie Ickx and Derek Bell would drive for the factory team. It was a solid start. They won the Group C class, finishing second overall, behind a Group 6 Lancia. Porsche missed the next event at the Nürburgring for developmental reasons, before returning to action at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The 956 had run a large, high downforce rear wing so far, but Le Mans had the near 4-mile long Mulsanne straight to contend with, so lower drag was essential. A smaller, lower rear wing was fitted for the event, which would enable the cars to reach speeds of around 225 miles per hour. This casting definitely has the high downforce rear wing arrangement, but we can gloss over that for the purposes of the story to come.
Seen better days.
Ickx put the car on pole, and both he and Bell led the race for the entire 24 hours. Driving car number 1, Ickx and Bell topped a Porsche factory 1-2-3 finish, with 956's number 2 and 3 in second and third respectively. On the back of this success, 956's were quickly snapped up by customer teams, who raced them independently of the factory. The factory car would remain dominant for the rest of 1982, with wins for Ickx and Mass at Spa and Fuji, and Ickx and Bell at Brands Hatch, giving Ickx the driver's title and Porsche the manufacturer's championship. In 1983, the 956 was used as a testbed for Porsche's P01 Formula 1 engine, which would ultimately be badged TAG and used later that year exclusively by McLaren. This engine would go on to be highly successful for the team, earning 25 wins between 1984 and 1987, and collected 2 Constructors' Championships for McLaren. Another system tested using the 956 was the Porsche Doppelkupplungsgetriebe dual-clutch transmission, otherwise known as PDK, which would go on to be used in the 962 and later in Porsche production cars from the late 2000s. The year would also see Stefan Beloff setting the lap record at the Nürburgring using a 956. His time of 6 minutes 11.13 seconds during qualifying for the 1000 km championship race would stand for 35 years. before finally being broken in 2018. The Porsche factory team would win that event at the Nordschleife, and had also won the Silverstone round as well. While a 956 did win the opening race at Monza, it was the number 11 car of Joest Racing, driven by Bob Wollek and Thierry Boutsen, that would be victorious. Come the 24 Hours of Le Mans, Porsche yet again dominated as Ickx claimed his third pole position in 3 years. While Lancias claimed second and fourth on the grid, the remainder of cars up to 13th position were all 956s. The 3 factory Rothmans Porsches qualified in 1st, 3rd and 7th, with the number 3 car of Australian Vern Schuppan and Americans Hurley Haywood and Al Holbert actually outpaced by a 4th factory 956 in practice, driven by a combination of factory drivers but never intended to race. In the race itself, the number 2 car of Jochen Mass overtook Ickx for the lead on the first lap. To make matters worse for Ickx, he was spun by the Canon Porsche of Jan Lammers on the second lap, forcing both cars into the pits and costing them about 2 minutes. During this time, the number 3 car had actually moved up to second behind Mass. Jumping back to the build quickly, you can see the blue painters reacted to the clear coat, leaving a blotchy finish. Back to the drawing board, unfortunately. Anyway, the second placed qualifier Lancia of Michele Alboreto was struggling with gearbox issues and had retired by 5:30 PM, thus reducing Porsche's competition. The 2 leading 956s were pulling away from the rest of the pack. By dusk, the Ickx and Bell car had recovered to 3rd position, giving the Works team a 1-2-3 running order. In fact, Porsche's locked out the entire top 10 during the evening. The Rothmans' dominance ended at midnight when the lead car of Mass and Beloff pulled into the pits with a fuel system fault. The mechanics would send the car back out running on only 5 cylinders. The other top 10 qualifying Martini Lancia was out just before 2 AM with a loss of fuel pressure, while the third and final number 6 Lancia succumbed to disintegrating turbos a handful of laps later. It was looking quite good for the factory Porsche team and their customers, with their strongest competition out of contention. By 3 AM, Bell and Ickx had caught up enough to be on the lead lap, and as dawn broke, all 11 956s were still running, all in the top 12 positions. The first 956 would give up after 11 hours of racing. The number 11 Fitzpatrick customer car stopped with fuel pump issues. Bell took the lead briefly at 6:30 AM, but was forced to pit due to a loose wire that would cost him 12 minutes. Taking over driving duties, Ickx put his foot down and set a new lap record in the process, retaking second place by 11:30 AM, but he remained 3 laps behind the number 3 car, which had had a comparatively uneventful race up to this point. Porsche would be unable to celebrate another factory 1-2-3 finish this year though, as the Mass Beloff car finally gave up at a late morning pit stop after running on 5 cylinders for over 11 hours. The final hours of the race would prove tense for the leaders. Schuppan arrived in the pits in the number 3 car at 2:40 PM, missing a door. This wasn't the first instance of this happening in the race, but it was compromising the engine cooling system. He continued to run the car for a further few laps, but noticed the engine temps going very high, so he again pitted. It proved difficult to restart, but once going, Holbert took the car out again gingerly. Halfway down the Mulsanne straight, the airflow was beginning to do its job, but the makeshift door repair broke, leading to Holbert holding the door with one hand and running at a reduced pace. He managed to settle down to a pace that balanced temperatures with speed, but dropped to just 1 lap ahead of the number 1 car. However, that car was struggling too, with cracked front brake pads. Knowing changing them would certainly lose them the race, Bell put trust in his car and his ability, and drove on, hunting down Holbert. Holbert made his final stop at 3:25 PM, and as the team fitted a leather strap to secure the door, Bell unlapped himself, power sliding out of corners with virtually no brakes. Back out on track, and with just 2 minutes to go, Holbert saw the previously red temperature gauges drop to 0. With no more water reaching the engine to cool it, and the car coming onto the front straight past the pits, the engine seized. Holbert was able to bump start it in a huge puff of white smoke, needing to make it around the track for one more agonising lap to win the race. He just about made it to claim victory for the number 3 car, pulling over straight away. Just 64 seconds later arrived Bell, who also pulled up, having had to switch to his reserve fuel tank halfway through his final lap. Neither car would have been able to complete a further one. Behind them was a Porsche 956, and behind that another, and then another, and another, and another, and another. After that was a Sauber C7. Rounding out the top 10 was the final remaining 956. This incredible result led to the famous "Nobody's Perfect" Porsche advertisement. They had most certainly laid down the gauntlet for the Group C era. They dominated the World's Endurance Championship as X won his second driver's title. An improved chassis with enhanced fuel efficiency from the Bosch Motronic system was introduced for 1984, with the car dubbed the 956B. It would dominate the Endurance Championship yet again in 1984, as Joest Racing won Le Mans with drivers Henri Pescarolo and Klaus Ludwig, while Stefan Bellof claimed the driver's trophy. Tragically, the promising career of the talented Bellof was cut cruelly short in the 1985 1,000 kilometers of Spa. The Brunn Motorsport 956 he was driving collided with the Porsche factory team's new 962, being driven by Jackie Ickx. While Ickx would survive the crash, the force of the accident was enough to take the life of Bellof. Safety concerns over the 956 accelerated its demise as teams upgraded to the newer 962. The 956 would continue to compete in 1985, with Joest again winning Le Mans in the 956B, and the team continued to run it in the 1986 championship, claiming victory in the car's final competitive race at the Fuji 1,000 kilometers. 28 956s were made, with an unofficial 29th car built from spare parts by Richard Lloyd Racing. The 962 was very much an evolution of the 956, and continued to be extremely competitive in Group C racing. But that's a story for another day. In the video outro, I've got my completed 956 parked up next to the Hot Wheels 962 in an advertising-friendly racing livery. In the background, you'll be able to see car number 3 competing in the 1983 24 Hours of Le Mans. At the end, you'll briefly be able to glimpse the engine of the car seizing ahead of the final lap. Here are the parts that make up the MC TOY Porsche 956. Into the unglamorous underside of the casting goes the transparency, complete with the distinctive yellow Porsche sun visor, and that is followed by the cockpit interior moulding. Lastly, the base connects via a tongue slot at the rear, while the front gets screwed up. This was how the MC TOY Porsche 956 appeared at the start of the video. While I love the Boss livery this model recreates, I felt that retelling the full story of the 1983 24 Hours of Le Mans by recreating the winning car of that dramatic race would be a bit more exciting. The model does resemble a higher downforce version of the 956, with its tall rear wing, but please allow me this slice of artistic license. So let's see how it turned out. I've slammed it as much as possible because the model originally had wallowy, springy suspension. I had a bit of a nightmare with the paint first time around, where the Tamiya blue reacted to the Mr. Hobby gloss. It's come out looking alright though, with the red and gold of the Rothmans livery covering up any messy lines. Those decals weren't easy to apply, as they sit on that almost 90-degree angle between the top and sides. If it were a bigger model, they would have probably adhered better, owing to greater surface area. But hey, I tried. I do love how glossy the headlights came out though. Also, the front wheels with their red lettering look great, while the rear set are quite inboard due to the sheer size of that rubber. So what do you think of this custom? Did you enjoy the story? Tell me in the comments and leave a like if you liked it. But all that leaves me to say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.